Welcome, everyone. Episode 7 of the Health and Wealth Podcast. My name is Steve Giordano. We have a very, very special guest in the studio. He is my main man from South Florida, Eddie Anderson. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here.
Awesome to have you.
Awesome.
It's been a great ride working with you, and it's really awesome to kind of see where you are headed with both your personal production and your team. So we'll start here. Give me a little background of, yourself and kind of growing up and, what kind of, we'll go the journey of what brought you to FFL.
Awesome. Well, as you mentioned, I am from South Florida. Born and raised, when I was young, it was called Carver Ranches Park. Now it's called West Park. It's basically in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, close to Hollywood and Hollandale area. Youngster there, went to middle school in Hollandale at McNichol, went to high school at Miramar High, then matriculated my way up to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. Got my degree in printing management up there. Actually, when I first started out, I started in Melbourne, was a supervisor for their distribution center, and then stayed in the printing industry for about 15 years. And then I decided, I had a good friend of mine call me one day, and he told me that he wanted to start a business. The first business we did together was actually a treatment center, and then we realized that we can actually grow a little bit more, and we started our own laboratory company with some other partners in Davie area, and we did that for a couple of years.
Well, here's my first question. How come when I get a jam in the printer, I'm not just asking you to fix it, first of all? So that's the first thing I've learned today. So I'm going to start doing that. So you've kind of had, an entrepreneurial mindset background. One of the things I like to try and focus on this podcast a little bit more than FFL is just entrepreneurship. What was it about owning a business that appealed to you at the time?
Well, to be honest, Steve, I got to go back a little bit further in my teenage years. My father was really the one who started me on the entrepreneurship side of it. He was a dump truck driver for about maybe 10, 15 years. And then he decided one day to actually open up his own grocery store. So that, with experiencing that, working the store, getting up early on Saturdays when I was out of school and going to Miami to get all the stock for the store and then having to stock it the whole day. So we literally used to start at 3 o'clock in the morning and maybe finish up about 5 or 6 in the afternoon every Saturday I was with them. So that really reared me and said, hey, you know what? It's good to work for yourself. It's tough, but you got to get it out there and make it happen yourself. So seeing him do that day in and day out, working 10 to 12-hour shifts a day, that really started me in just to seeing how hard he had to work to provide. But it was his business. That's why I knew something that I wanted to do.
That's really awesome, dude, because you have a leg up, because I think most people that started FFL, they didn't have that. I mean, my mom had a little bit of a business, but I think most people, for the most part, they kind of grew up, got a job, went to college, whatever, didn't really understand entrepreneurship where you kind of did. So how has that made it a little easier for you when you have the ebbs and flows and the struggles that we all have being an entrepreneur? How did that help you and mold you into how you manage those things today?
Well, what I had to realize is that, and it's a constant grind every day, but I had to realize that running your own business, normally when you work a 9 to 5, which I worked a 9 to 5 for several companies, when you work a normal 9 to 5, you work, and then what happens is that, you work your 8 hours and you go home, and then you wash, rinse, repeat, and do that every day, and that's fine. But with running your own business, you really almost have to work double the time. So if you work a 40-hour week, I realized, just seeing, again, my dad working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. He works 7 days a week. So normally the normal person wouldn't want to do that, but it was his company. So seeing that and, seeing him leave, hey guys, have a good day, and he comes home at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I just realized that, hey, yes, it's tough and you might not see him, but again, he's providing for the family, and it's his company. So that really was ingrained in me.
That's awesome, bro. So now you get married, you have a beautiful wife, you have 2 beautiful daughters. And I've met your wife, she's great. How has having a supportive wife helped you in this venture at FFL and in the insurance industry?
So what happens is that I've done a lot of different things, especially when I worked my regular 9 to 5. I always had a side gig. And what she does and what she provides for me is that she allows me to basically, stealing from the Army, be all I can be. And she takes care of the home. She takes care of the kids and make sure the kids are reared and make sure that they're situated with their schoolwork as well as other activities that they wanted to do. So I can go out and provide and do what I love to do and assist families and just continue to grow.
So you definitely got some brownie points on giving her all that love. So make sure that you we're going to cut that clip. And anytime she gets mad, you just keep playing that over and over.
Exactly.
She keep it on a TV in your house and just play it.
I'm going to have you cut that for me.
That's awesome. So you kind of had dabbled into insurance prior at, another company. What was it about insurance that appealed to you?
When I first did it again, it was a part-time thing, and I really didn't put my all into it at the time with that particular organization. I worked with them for maybe 6 to 8 months, and but what happened was I had been doing a couple things, and I had a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, and he was talking about another organization at the time, and he was like, "Hey, check this out. I know you did this in the past, but this is what we do, and it's a little bit different." So I actually went back and I got my license on my own, and then I worked with that company. And it's just weird how I ended up here because I actually was responding to an ad on Craigslist, and I just called the lady who was at Tri-State corporate office and she asked me my experience, and she was like, "Wow, you have a lot of experience doing different things." And when I asked her about, because I had experience with being a captive agent and working for a company and having to sign, what really got me was when she said, "Oh, we don't sign anything. So if you don't like it and try it out, you don't like it, you can leave." I was sold. I was like, I didn't even, the commission was, because I knew I was going to work, so the commission was going to come. But when she told me, and then she mentioned the commission, and then when she told me, yeah, you can, if you don't like it here, you don't sign any paperwork, there's no contracting, you can just, and you get to keep the clients that you have because you're vested day one. I was like, are you serious? And I just said, okay, sign me up. Absolutely.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, now I was not in insurance prior here, so I don't even know what bad is or looks like. I kind of know only what good looks like. But I can imagine for you, kind of, you're in this company with the walls caving in, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's light, there's this, there's that, there's comp, so that's pretty amazing that you were able to kind of see that and come here. So you make the transition to Family First Life. Just had a $25,000 month. You are a grinder, you're a worker, you do a lot of really good things in the house. And I really want to highlight that because I think when I think of you, word tracks come to mind because there's a lot of key things that I think you say in a house that will take you to the sale. So give me a little bit of kind of, set the table of a little bit of your in-home and some of those things that are golden nuggets that I think a lot of people would gain some from you.
Okay, awesome. So what I try to do and just look at different trainings, I kept hearing something everybody kept saying. Try to find a person that has a similar personality like you, that you like. If you're an introvert or if you're a very outgoing person, try to find somebody and follow his training or follow her training. So I always liked Eric Schmidt presentations, and I had a chance to meet him at one of the meetings. It was pretty awesome. Was he changed the way I approach things. So I always try to set the table at the beginning, and I always tell them. And when I'm in a home, I always try to express to them and say, hey, I'm here. Usually I see about 25 families a week, about 100 families a month. And the reason why I'm here is basically for two things. The first thing is that we try to get you pre-approved. And then the second thing, and the more important, pre-approved and qualified with the company. And the second thing, and the more important thing is that we want to try to fit in your budget. And I always say this line, but I stole it from somebody, I don't remember exactly who, but I always say this line, and I said, because it could be the Jesus plan, it could be the best plan in the world. But if it doesn't fit your budget, then you're not going to keep it. And I'm really wasting your time, and more importantly, I'm wasting my time. So it's just, I want to go ahead and fit something that you're comfortable with and that has good value and that's in your budget. And that's how I usually start my presentation off in that realm.
Yeah, so I love that because it's very psychological. And I think it's so funny. Like you talk about Eric Schmidt, he's amazing, great in the house, board member, building a great team. Sometimes it's the one thing you say or don't say, or the way you say something, that really makes a difference between kind of winning or losing, as they say, right? Sale or no sale. So now you kind of set that structure. What are some of the other things as you kind of take people through the process? Because I think you gain a lot of trust in a house. Like I think you go in and you're big to me from what I've seen that you build a good rapport, but then you build a trust, and then you'll have that client for life, and you do a lot of stuff, insuring the whole family, kids, and all that good stuff. So how do you kind of take it from there?
So once I go from there, what I'm trying to do is that that old what we say all the time is we're trying to find the why they're doing this. So I always try to find and ask them somewhere around the point is that who's the beneficiary and what was the reason why you called me. Because and sometimes when I say that, they look at me and I'm like, was there a recent death in the family, or did you realize that you needed more insurance because things are changing? What was the reason why? And then once I find that why and I find that beneficiary, and of course I'm writing all this information down as I'm capturing this information, I'm constantly looking at them. And then what I do is that, and I explain to them, like Eric Schmidt, I was telling you, Eric Schmidt says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start the process. We're going to submit an application, at which point we're going to, there's a couple different phases. There's a pre-approval phase, which at that point we're going to get your general information, address, name. I'm going to require your social. And then from there, we're going to try to get you pre-approved. And then after the pre-approval phase, we're going to have after we do the pre-approval, then after that point, we go through the second part of the application, which is where they're going to ask some general health questions. We're going to fill out the beneficiary. And then from there, we're going to try to get you final approved, which is at which point we're going to go ahead and get your banking information. And then we're going to submit the application at that point. And then the reason why I do that, and again, I keep referring back to Eric Schmidt, is the reason why I do that is because I realize if I'm telling them that I'm going to get their social and I need their banking information and I'm taking their beneficiary down, so it kind of stops all the objections there at the beginning. Because if they're saying, well, I'm not going to give you my banking information, then I deal with that objection and deal with that rebuttal and go from there. So I try to get it at the beginning. So I usually don't have a problem with that part of it when I say, okay, so I need your routing and account number. It's not because I've already told them at the beginning of my presentation of what's going on. And I'm establishing that rapport as I'm going on, and I'm explaining why I'm doing this and why we're going to do this. And of course, I try to always, so if they told me that John is their son John is the beneficiary, so what I always try to bring John in the presentation while I'm talking about this, because this is why you're getting this, because you say you want to leave for John because you don't want to be a liability for him. You want your burial costs done so he doesn't have to worry about that, because John is already dealing with the fact that you're gone, so you don't want to have to worry about him getting his monies together to bury you also.
I love that. And you know what? I'm learning so much as I'm listening to you. A couple things. One, you are Eric Schmidt because you're so soft-spoken about it, and he's the same way. And it's something that I think new agents and I think certain agents like myself, being a loud Italian, we have a hard time with. And it's funny, I was coaching someone today in the office who's Hispanic, excitable, right? And one of the first things she said to me was, I got to take it down, because if I don't take it down, if I live up here, I'm losing them. It's almost like your tone, it kind of like draws you in, and you're non-threatening. So when you have that tone and you ask me for my banking, it's like, well, yeah, he's like a nice, soft-spoken guy. Like, he's not threatening. Like, he's a good dude. So I love that. I think there's a lot of psychology around what you do. Recently, you had a big sale where it was like a big stack of whole life, right? Walk me through a little of that scenario of kind of how you got to that sale. I think it was an instant internet lead, right? Okay. And what that process looked like with that client.
Okay. So what that was, it was a pretty interesting situation. Actually, the grandson was getting something for his grandmother. and the grandmother, wanted him to get something, and he was actually guy's an accountant actually, and I actually first talked to him in I want to say the beginning of May, so I didn't really I kept following up with him, and he has a busy schedule, and I was able to get him situated in September. But with him, he's a real, being an accountant, he's a real numbers person. And it's not necessarily the number. He wanted to know the number as well as how does this work as far as, okay, I'm spending X money, but how does this benefit me? So he wanted a term, but I always use the word qualify, that you have to qualify for these plans. So the grandmother wouldn't qualify for the plans because she had some pre-existing issues. So I explained the final expense realm of it, and I told him that he wanted they wanted over $100,000, but I said, yes, we can provide it for her. However, we have to qualify for her, but we're going to have to what's called stacking. He said, stacking? I said, yeah. Imagine if you had 4 Big Macs, when you take the 2 patties and you stack one on top. And then it's like, and when it's funny because I laugh, but I don't know how it came to my head, but I laughed, and he's like, yeah, you stack it up on top. Yeah, so we're stacking policy A, B, C, and D together. And then when I saw it, he was like, that actually makes sense. I was like, okay, great. So and we started the process with that, and what I did was because it was like 4 different vendors that we were using, license companies we were using. What I did was I sort of maxed out all of them, and then the ones I just sort of just tapered to get them out that he wanted to get to.
I love that because again, you said a key thing, quick on your feet,
right,
and it was relatable,
right,
and it was a funny moment,
right,
and it takes that sales pressure down,
right,
and bang, yeah, cool, because I think sometimes with people, like obviously they want insurance, obviously they filled something out, but then they can put up a wall because they don't want the sales dude to walk in, and like I don't get sales from you. Like you genuinely care about people and serving people, and you just want to try and fix their problem the best way possible. And then you throw in a funny line, and it's like, now we're like buddies and we can go out and have a beer, right, and you're going to get me life insurance,
right.
So I love that kind of component of, what you do. So now I want to talk a little bit about kind of the building side. We recently went to a Road to Integrity meeting. And I think for you specifically, conversations we had after, they were very impactful for you. Walk me through a little bit around what you took away from that, and also how you see the business opportunity for yourself and others with this integrity platform being available for really everybody.
Well, I think I mentioned I mentioned to you afterwards. A friend of mine used to say something when we were in business, and he was like, when we're working, we can't work this like a hobby. We have to work this like a business. And immediately when Sean Mike was talking and Mark Mead said a couple things, I immediately thought about that because I would realize that and you have to be accountable to yourself. We can be accountable to each other, but you have to start with yourself. So, and I said to myself, wow, I'm doing this here, but I'm not focusing or strategizing it like a business. And it is a business. And the opportunity is amazing. And when they were talking about some of the things in the meeting, as far as like you hiring staff, and then the opportunity that the staff has with being an integrity employee is like life-changing. Like literally. So you're not only changing your family's lives and your life, but you're actually impacting your employees' lives and their families' lives. Even just the health benefits alone is amazing. So I really realized that I have to switch gears and treat this as a business and something that literally can change a lot of people's lives, including my family's lives and my life.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. I mean, it's a cool way to look at it because at the end of the day, when you look at the insurance industry, and anybody that's watching this, like the insurance industry, we know that money is made, like it's one of the richest, industries that there are. Money is there. If you work hard enough, you see enough people, you put enough effort into it, you will make money. So it's like, all right, we put that over here. It's like the byproduct of what we do. But then when you say, hey, I hire a staff and now they can become a partner of an integrity marketing group, a private equity company, and their lives can be completely changed, some, with college degrees, some without college degrees, that's powerful.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that your takeaway is that, as opposed to some people that look at it and it's just like, oh, like I can just make a lot of money. Like you're going to make money. Like everybody calm down. You're going to make money, but you're going to impact so many people. And that it's just like selling life insurance.
And the crazy part is, Steve, like with Sean, and I've seen it before, but like he did this so he can not only change his family's lives, but he can affect hundreds of people's lives, if not thousands of people's lives, by allowing this opportunity to happen. And I've done several different things in my life, full time as well as part time, but I've never seen an opportunity like this before. Never.
Yeah, I agree. It's an incredible company. It's almost unprecedented and unparalleled what you're able to do in this company, the way we have it set up, and really where the trajectory is. And I love how at that meeting, you kind of said to yourself, hey, I need to start doing this. I need to stop doing this. And I was the same way, because I think that's how you have to always look at every day, because that's how you get better. What do you see for yourself now in your business? Because we're now in the fourth quarter. We're in, what is it, November? Actually, it's almost November. Right. What are some of your goals as far as when you get a staff, when you kind of get that going and started, and just some of your goals for yourself, personal production and team production, we'll say in the next 6 months? And I put you on the spot.
Absolutely. So I've already started interviewing new candidates. I have some in the pipeline now, and I've hired some already, and I've of course put Indeed ads and a couple of the Craigslist and a couple of the social media ads out there. So I'm in the process of building my agency more now, and definitely more focused in on that part of it. So it's constantly growing, and I'm constantly trying to tweak it as I go along on a daily basis. Also, as far as personal production, I definitely got to get to 30K. Is like, that's it. I have to get there. That's my goal, and that's where we're going to knock out definitely within the next 6 months coming up, if not sooner. And I'm just talking to people. I find myself talking to people. I've talked to my warm market, but now I'm exploring different warm markets that I totally forgot about, like people from college, people in my fraternity, people in other fraternities and sororities, people in my neighborhood that I thought that I didn't even think that they would be good at it, and it's just sharing the opportunity. Like we were saying in the meeting, they were saying, don't be selfish with the opportunity, because you don't know who needs this opportunity, and see it. I used to say, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this, but everybody won't do it. Mm-hmm. But it's the people that are willing to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm a hard worker, I'm coachable, and I want my family to have a better life, and I want to have a better life for myself as well as my family. So if you're hardworking and you're coachable and you're willing to bust your butt, like you always say, this is not hard what we do, but you have to work.
Yeah.
Point blank period. There's no way around it. We can't make you dial. You have to dial yourself. Right. You have to call the clients and go get it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. One thing, talking about you sharing the opportunity, months ago, you had talked to me about you being uncomfortable sharing on social media. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, I think you're doing like TikTok reels, like doing handstands. Yeah. So how did you kind of getting comfortable being uncomfortable? How was that for you now, as you're now posting a lot of stuff to get the warm market and get the traction there?
Yeah, so I remember when you first said that, because I just had my my first name and my middle name. I didn't even have on my Facebook. I just had like Eddie Charles. So I remember you saying like, bro, are you on Facebook? And I was like,
who is this guy? Who's this Eddie Charles dude?
Right. And I was like, Eddie Charles, I'm your friend. He was like, yeah. You were like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So now, of course, I've changed that around. And one thing that sort of really stuck with me with what we do, because we have so many agents nationwide, and And so a lot of times I just not necessarily steal, I borrow other people's stuff and I just share it because we have agents that are 19 years old just exploding, within this amazing opportunity. So yeah, I can talk to people that may know me, but then they have family, they have other friends that, as well as nieces, nephews, sons, and daughters that might need this opportunity and might want to explore this opportunity. So I just share everything, and I take other people's success and experiences with FFL and just share it.
Yeah, and that is the cool thing because you literally share every walk of life, every background, every age, because anybody can do it. It's not complicated. Like you said, not everybody's going to do it because they're not going to, not everybody's going to sacrifice and put in the work. But I mean, if you do it, if you put in the work, I think anybody would be agreeing with that. This becomes a lot easier than, it should be sometimes because you're putting in the work. You're putting in the effort, buying leads, getting on the phone. It's not complicated. So now in building your team, if somebody wants to join your team, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Absolutely. My cell phone is 954-554-0673. Once again, that's 954-554-0673. Or you can send me a quick email, and it's pretty much my full name, Eddie C. Anderson II @gmail.com. That's EDDIECANDERSONII @gmail.com.
And you obviously you have, some people here, Florida, Georgia, you take some trips there. Talk a little bit about that, the ability, having your daughter live in Georgia, and you could go hop on a plane, buy some leads, run some business, work out of an FFL office there with work spots. Like, kind of talk about that for people, because I think sometimes people don't understand that. Like, you can literally have anything going on in life and people all over the place, and you can go work anywhere, and obviously now virtually and live calls and all that stuff. So how that has helped you in being able to see your daughter more.
Absolutely. So I've taken several trips to Atlanta, Georgia. So like I said, my oldest daughter is up there, and we just took a trip about last week. I think I've been up there about 5 times within the past 6 months. And also when I was in Atlanta, not this trip, but the trip before, I actually drove to Savannah. And also I've did a travel trip to Orlando area, which is about 3.5 hours from us here. And before the year is out, I'm going to be going to, I'm licensed also in South Carolina as well as Virginia. So I'm going to be running business up there also before this year's out. So with this opportunity, and I tell people it's not like you're working or a 9 to 5 or a regular job where you're just stuck in one location. We try to go where the leads are and where the business is. And the beautiful thing is that we can literally, if you're licensed, you can literally travel anywhere to assist families. And again, that falls back to what we were saying earlier. As long as you're willing to work hard and put your head down and be coachable and learn what we do, it's very, very simple.
Yeah, and what's really cool is, like, you're going to build a big team because not only can you go run business in those states, you'll hire in those states, you'll have leads in those states, and then you'll be able to go and sit down for a couple hours and coach and teach and develop and teach people the Whopper line, and then they'll sell a ton because they'll use that, write that down. So I think that's so underrated as to when you look at this opportunity, what it really is. You can literally run a business. You could go on vacation for 3 days and run a couple of days of appointments and come home, not missing production, meeting people on your team, building your team. Like, there's just so many, so endless. It's just incredible.
And the crazy part is, Steve, like, so the first time I went, I remember I told you I drove my vehicle up there, and it was a nice little ride. So now I just I catch a flight and rent a car now.
Yeah, bro, Southwest is cheap.
Yeah. So this past time I was at the Avis counter, and a lady, she was like, "So what do you do?" And I didn't even realize I had my lanyard on me with my ID, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in insurance, and here in Atlanta, helping you guys out because they got they need assistance because the agents are backed up here." And she goes, oh my God, I need life insurance. And I was at the Avis counter. I'm like, this is crazy. So I have an appointment with her and her husband, and she needs a policy, and her husband and a kid. So it's just talking to people and just expressing the opportunity and sharing it with people.
Yeah, you just said a very key thing. I think whether it's, on the client side or the hiring side, just talk to everybody. Right. If you talk to 100 people and you found one agent or one family to help, like, you're better off for it, and you're a great guy. You're a nice guy. You're personable. You connect with people real well. So I think the sky's the limit for really, where you're headed. And I'm just excited to be able to watch it, be part of it.
Man, I'm happy. I think I told my wife the other day, I thank God I'm on this team and to be a part of this team and see where we started at and where you started at when I came along and where we're at now. This is an amazing ride.
Yeah, and it's only going to get funner, and I'm excited. So I just want to thank you for all you do, hopping on here with me, sharing your story. And guys, reach out to Eddie, because if you want to work with somebody who cares about people and he can teach you the one-liners, you will be successful. So I thank you, my friend, and just thank you for all you do.
Thank you, brother, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate you having me.
All right, guys, so we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.